on, they know we're awake. With facts on our side, we're here to shake. From local elections to making it clear, together we rise, let's spread the fear. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. Jon and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. Jon and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. So tune in each week, don't miss the show. Jon and Tom will help you know.
You can get some.
Stand our role, which is to be the party of opposition. It's to push for transparency and accountability. But accountability doesn't mean being the party of no. Accountability also means offering thoughtful ideas and solutions if there's a way that we can help make legislation better. And what I offer to my colleagues is that when you hear us debate you, when you hear us push back, don't necessarily look at that as just we're trying to be obstructionist. We're trying to speak out and speak out for the millions of Floridians who voted for us and the millions of Floridians who are in their districts who maybe don't agree with the Republican majority. We're trying to speak up for them in the best way that we know how. So are we in the minority? Yes. Are we in the super minority? Sure. Do I understand how vote counts work? Absolutely. But I also know that we have a role to play, and we cannot shrink from that just because the numbers may not be on our side.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
I got elected less than a year ago and kind of got thrown into this role on short notice. So there are places we probably left opportunities on the field, but that's why we're starting immediately right now on registering and getting the party apparatus up and running again quickly so that we don't leave opportunities on the field in the future. But I think you're going to see us compete in Miami-Dade pretty strongly moving forward. I think that we have a potential to flip Miami-Dade County registration-wise down the road, as well as flipping Hillsborough and Duval County, because we're going to keep the machine running and we're going to continue to make Florida more and more red every time.
I don't know who the bigger liar is right there, whether it was Fentrice Driscoll or it was our RPOF chairman, Evan Power, because saying that he's going to make Florida more and more red, yet they're purging Republicans left and right now as we speak, Jon. I don't know who the bigger liar is. Do you?
Well, I've never heard Driscoll lie to me personally. This guy, I've heard him lie with my own ears. Yeah. He is a straight up liar, and Evan Power is running the Republican Party into the ground. The gains that they made were in spite of the Republican Party, not because of the Republican Party. Everyone that came out and vote in droves and created a red flood, those were Trump, America First, MAGA voters. These were not people that cared about. People were walking into these election polling places, hitting the name Trump and moving out. They weren't voting down ballot. They lost. I mean, Osceola County was a disaster. Orange County, a disaster. So this is absolutely not the way you make all these counties more red. Trump already made them as red as they're going to get. So what else do they have? They're just now hiding in the shadows for some reason. It makes no sense. But yeah, to answer your question, it's Evan Power. Evan Power is the bigger liar, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe you're right, John.
Yeah, well, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. Today's going to be a hot show. We have a special. We had a special the other night. The special was on the attack on Republicans going on throughout the state. We're going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later in the show. And we have more coming up in a special for where we got all these interviews going on throughout the state with different members of the Republican Party who have been thrown out, are being thrown out, who are basically victims of this Soviet-style purge from the Florida GOP. We'll talk a little bit about that later and on the new special. So keep an eye out for that. It's either going to be tomorrow night or it's going to be Saturday night when we get it all edited together. In the meantime, this is Unsanctioned Florida, so we got a lot of news to cover, a lot of things that affect the people throughout the Florida. Let me read these names, these headlines here before we say our prayer and get to the show. Senator Trump, that's a question that needs to be asked. Task force has bad news about Secret Service competency. Trump Avenue highlights a new Trump town. Orlando high-profile lawyer, great guy, Dan Newlin, on his way to Colombia as its new ambassador. Florida GOP attacks its own in Soviet-style purge. We're going to talk about that. Trump endorses Randy Fine for the Senate for a congressional seat. Valdes switches from D to R after the Dems neglect her community's needs, she says. A man shoots at delivery drone. Osceola teacher runs for Congress in Florida House District 6. D.R. Horton, the big-time developer home builder, sets its sights on East Lake Toho. More fake news about companies going to No City. Orlando City proposes a $1 billion development at Heritage Park. Residents show up for a rezoning meeting, but they complain about how it was done. And more on this episode of Unsanctioned Florida with Jon and Tom. This is episode 37, December 12th, 2024. Let's do our prayer. Lord, please continue to watch over Florida. We saw a big red wave. We saw a red flood come here. We know that it was the leadership of Donald Trump that made that happen. We pray that these other GOP leaders in Florida catch on. They get the idea. We're hoping that the red wave doesn't just come, this red flood just come and make things red. We hope that it washes away all of the corruption, all of the filth involved with politics, especially in the GOP, because as people who propose free and fair elections, transparency, honesty, a moral standard, we pray that we can rid our party of all that filth. And we hope that you make that happen, Lord. That's the red wave that we're looking for, not just to win elections. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
All right, Tom, let's get into the show.
All right, let's start off with the state. All right, John. So it's been a while since we've done a regular Florida show. The last two Florida shows have been specials. You know, it was Osceola County's failed red wave and War of the Elephants. And we're about to do War of the Elephants too, but we did not want to neglect the regular state of Florida and Osceola County stories. So we're going to start off with, you said it, Senator Trump. Could be Senator Trump. And I hope it's Senator Trump. Laura Trump says she'd 100% consider replacing Marco Rubio in the Senate as she resigns as RNC co-chair, which is very sad to lose her as the RNC co-chair after the phenomenal job that she did. But here's what she had to say, John.
Here's the question, Laura, that everyone's talking about. Your name has been floated to fill Senator Marco Rubio's seat in Florida in the United States Senate. Do you want to go be a disruptor in the Senate?
Well, you know, there have been crazier things that Trumps have done in the past. That's for sure. Look, I was so honored to be co-chair of the RNC during this time, this really historic election. I think that, you know, what we did at the RNC was part of the big win Donald Trump had. And if I am tapped to serve in another capacity, it truly would be my honor. I think it would be great to have another young mom alongside Katie Britt there in the United States Senate. I have not been asked yet, but I certainly would strongly consider it if it is presented to me.
I appreciate that answer.
You know, John, I'll just say this. The phenomenal job. When President Trump says that this election was too big to rig, I think a lot of that has to do with the leadership of Laura Trump at the RNC and the bang up job that they did to make sure our election was secure. I mean, look at this. You know, this is an old headline that I pulled up from a past show that we did. Laura Trump is building an army of 100,000 poll watchers and over 500 lawyers to deploy across America in November to protect the election. Now, there are people saying that she's not qualified, she's never held a political office. Half the people that run for these seats have never held a political office. I think she would be a phenomenal senator and an upgrade from Marco Rubio. I don't know. What do you think, John?
Yeah, she certainly would be a great senator. I think that we would love her here. I hate to see her leave the RNC because I don't know whether to trust the RNC chair or not. Trump obviously trusts him, and I think that he spoke highly of him as she's leaving the seat, that he's going to be become the sole chair of it as opposed to co-chair. So, I mean, Lara Trump is great in the Senate. She would be great in the Senate. But the RNC, one of the reasons that Donald Trump won was because the RNC was pushing. Where when it was what's her face before, I don't even want to mention her name. when it was McDaniels, she did not push. She led to a big loss. It was really sad. That was an RNC failure. The misappropriations of money. It was just terrible all around. So she fixed it. And so you hate to leave her see it, and hopefully Watley is going to do just as good of a job by himself as she would. She would be a great senator. Now, here's the complicated issue here, and I think that we've talked about it. Is DeSantis going to appoint Trump to the Senate seat? That's a high standard of expectation, and here's why. He can appoint a senator. Now, I speculated. I would imagine DeSantis would appoint his chief of staff. That's who I think he would appoint. That's who he wants to appoint, in my opinion. Is he going to appoint Trump? He's basically surrendering this huge opportunity to Trump. I don't know that they have the relationship for that anymore. Certainly, maybe 3 years ago, and this had happened all 3 years ago. Maybe that would have been a more realistic situation. I just don't know. The pressure that Trump has to put on DeSantis to do that is huge. I think it would be great as an outcome, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that the other thing is DeSantis can appoint himself, right? He's not appointing the lieutenant governor. I think that's become clear because he would have, I think that he would have pushed that. And then the lieutenant governor, I don't think is going to be running for election as governor. I think that they've already brokered that deal. So I don't know what the relationship between Trump and DeSantis looks like. That's what it all depends on. But I'm sure that Donald Trump is pushing his views very strongly because that's an important pick. So it's like you have it in your hands. What do you do with it? Do you eat it? Do you share it? Do you give it to somebody else? I don't know. That's a tough decision.
Yeah, I'll just say this, John. I think that if DeSantis goes and appoints himself, Elon Musk is going to do everything he can to make sure that he does not win re-election to that seat. He did go before Congress and warned them and the Senate and told them that if they go against President Trump's agenda, he is going to fund a primary challenger against them. So I think if Governor DeSantis wants to play that game with the Trump administration, he's going to have to face the political consequences of that, and they're going to be harsh. I have no doubt about it. If the will is there and the people push this, I think Governor DeSantis, if he's not listening to those same people that told him to run for president, is smart enough to figure out that he needs to do the will of the people at this point and not go against it.
Well, there was a poll. There was a poll that said that more than 60% of Floridians wanted Trump as the senator.
Yeah.
So how do you fight against that if they polled it, and I think she was at like 63%, that's a pretty overwhelming. They could have picked anybody for that list, right?
Yeah.
And they picked her 63%. That tells you that the mandate is there. The elections don't reflect the strength of the citizens' mandate to Trump. And it's all Trump-led. There's nothing else. And I've been saying this for a long time, right? There's a lot of DeSantis people who hated me because I was saying DeSantis won by 20 points for 3 reasons. Number one, he was a great governor. Give him credit, great governor, right? But the other reasons were because of Trump, and then the other reason was because of Biden. When you combine those 3 things, that it just kills it, right? I mean, you're going to win by 20 percentage points, and now and this proves that I was correct, and that a lot of people that thought like me were correct, because 63% of Floridians want her as a senator. How are you going to dispute it? Now, I mean, it is what it is. So
it is a huge loss, though, like you said, John, at the RNC. Yeah. I mean, you think about the disastrous RNC chairs we've had in the past: Ronna McDaniel, Michael Steele.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
it's terrible.
Walz isn't that bad. That he can hold it down, and it runs smoothly going in the future. We have big elections coming up, and we don't let the Democrats steal another one.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't think that Elon Musk would target DeSantis to the degree that he would, let's say, Glitch McConnell or somebody like that. I don't think that, because I don't think that DeSantis in the Senate would stand in the way of Trump. He knows better now, right? He already stood against him in the presidential, and it didn't work out well. I think he realized the strength. You're following the pollings. Why would he do that to himself? And here's the thing: DeSantis is more conservative, I think, than Donald Trump is.
Well, remember, Elon Musk was originally a DeSantis guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He
so
launched
I
the DeSantis campaign on X. Remember, it was an utter failure.
That was pretty bad. But exactly. So Musk was a DeSantis. So I think that there's some symbiotic relationships there. I think that you have a great, honest broker in Elon Musk between Trump and DeSantis. Yeah. But right now they're vying. I think that either one of those outcomes would be pretty good for the state of Florida, except here's my hesitancy. Here's my only hesitancy with DeSantis, and we've talked about it on the show before. Some of his decisions have not been great. He's allowed the establishment to survive in Florida when he could have killed it, right? And that was a trade that it looks like, speculating, may have been made just so that he could run for president, right? So all the funding and everything. So, but you have all this establishment, you have all these guys. I don't think that they're treating DeSantis with the proper amount of respect today. So I just don't know that. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of it's become very complex. I would like to see DeSantis clean up Florida, clean up the GOP. DeSantis could immediately, with a snap of his fingers, end the war on Republicans right now that's going on in Tallahassee. He could fix the establishment problem to some degree, not completely, right? Because that's entrenched. You're not going to just do it with the wave of a finger there. But you could end the war. You could get rid of Evan Power. You could demand that Evan Power host clear, free, transparent, honest elections throughout the state of Florida in all the local Republican executive committees. If he did that, DeSantis would become the same level of hero that he was before he ran against Trump.
Absolutely.
Just with that, because then you would have all the people who made that red wave happen now love DeSantis again, with the same amount of affection that they loved him before he ran against Trump.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, that's what I would do. And so, but at the end of the day, I'm not opposed to necessarily a Senator DeSantis. I, along with 63% of Floridians, we trust that Laura will never betray Donald.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Absolutely.
That's I mean.
And that's the thing. We want Governor DeSantis to finish his term.
Yeah.
Finish the term he promised he was going to finish, which is that current one right now, which is up in 2026. So finish your term, Governor. And end the war with the FRA, and we're going to get to that though in a little.
Make the state great, right? That's another thing. That's a great point, and people have mentioned it too. Why not finish your term, and over these next 2 years, right? Act like the bully that you've been against the Democrats, and hammer that against the establishment. Yeah. Do that. Again, you'll be the most beloved governor to Republicans ever in the history. F the establishment rhinos, crush them. And then, be with the American people. And I guarantee you that maybe he will be president, in 2 years. That's totally.
Turn it around. Yeah.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. But just not by being friendly with establishments. That you'll never win like that. No. That's not how Trump won. Right. So that I don't think that anybody will ever win like that again, unless Trump will have to be gone for sure. He'll be out of the picture. It'll have to be 10 years after he's gone.
And for sure, John, that many people still have in the back of their mind, especially residents that are outside the state of Florida. People don't live in the state of Florida. I mean, they still have in the back of their mind that DeSantis is part of that neocon group. I mean, look at that meme we opened the America show with yesterday. They featured his picture in with Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
So there's still a thought in a lot of people across the country's minds that he is a backstabber. He's a
This would end it.
type.
This would end it.
Yeah.
This would end it. If he did this, right? If he cleaned up Florida and he made Florida a non-sanctuary state for the establishment Republican rhinos, right? Then all of a sudden he would be a hero, and he would probably be the preeminent hero in the United States, the Republican.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, and if there's ambition for DeSantis beyond being the governor of Florida, that's the path. That's the way to get to it. It's not the path that you chose to be on when you win against the President Trump. And I don't think that running against President Trump was the killer. The killer was who he had to make deals with in order to make that a realistic opportunity.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it ended up not being a realistic opportunity, and it cost him all of the goodwill that he had with 60% of Republicans in Florida.
Yeah.
So I think that if he wants to get back to that position, which Florida is going to elect the next president, that's clear, right? Because Florida has put, Washington, D.C. is now going to be Florida. So Florida will elect the next president of the United States.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. No doubt about that. All right, John. So we had talked previously when it went down about Ryan Ruth, the second attempted Trump assassin, and his situation there, where he tried to shoot through the bushes at Mar-a-Lago there. But did you know, John, this just came out, the Trump Assassination Task Force revealed that the Secret Service agent who spotted Ryan Ruth in the trees at the golf course opened fire on him and missed him 6 times from 5 feet away. If you can believe this, watch this story, John.
2 new revelations from the Trump Assassination Task Force. According to their report, the Secret Service agent who spotted Ryan Ruth in the bushes outside Trump's golf course was only 5 feet away when he opened fire and missed him. Not once, not twice, 6 times. He missed him 6 times from 5 feet. How does a trained agent who passed the firearms test miss a target away, 5 feet away? That's not all. The report says the Secret Service found out at 2:30 in the morning that Trump would be golfing later that day, but they didn't secure the course, allowing Ruth to camp out for 12 hours before anyone saw him. Meanwhile, Ruth appeared in federal court this morning, and his legal team signaling they're going to go with the insanity defense. How convenient. Ruth's public defender said he has had multiple meetings with a mental health expert while in jail, and the witnesses who saw him before the arrest say he was hallucinating and delusional, of course. Prosecutors also revealed that Ruth has been doing a lot more writing behind bars than initially reported. Ruth has written nearly 40 letters to news outlets in an attempt to persuade them that he's an honorable guy, but they were intercepted before they reached their targets. We also know that only 17 of the 18 cell phones found in Ruth's possession belong to him. Why does he have 18 cell phones? And wait, he has 17, so who owns the last phone? And why did Ruth?
Yeah, good question there. And you know what, John? It's funny to me, the ineptitude of this Secret Service, this current Secret Service under Biden. You look at what happened the first assassination attempt, and the craziness that went down with that, and then you see with this one, and you're hearing these things, that he was 5 feet away from him and missed him 6 times. How does that happen, John? I just don't get it.
So this is not a defense of missing somebody 5 times, but I'll say this. Number one, you have to take into consideration the entire environment and situation, the circumstances during the shooting, right? So is the Secret Service person running, right? Are they running? And then is he running? And then you're like running while you're trying to shoot at somebody. You can miss 5 times doing that, right? You can miss. Let's say that the pressure is on. Your adrenaline is pumping. Your heart is racing. You can't see. You're kind of guessing where he's at. So it could be behind a tree. You're like bang, 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 bang. You're firing too fast. There's a lot going on.
You know what? But we're talking about a trained Secret Service agent.
I agree with you. I agree with you. At the end of the day, Secret Service agent is a cop, right? these people, they're how many times, I guarantee you this is I'm just speculating. I bet you it's the first time that this cop has ever shot at anybody. Because that's how rare it is.
It could be.
Right?
They could have been doing simulations and stuff, and I'm sure they do.
No, listen, no simulation.
Time, right?
Listen, here, let me.
Simulation.
Yeah, and this is not a defense. I'm just saying that you got to be real. Every cop out there is going to be like, hey, if you've never shot anybody, how are you going to? You don't know what it's like. So I'll say this: there's a book by this gentleman named Lieutenant Colonel Grossman, who said that in like the 1800s, when armies used to line up in two lines and shoot at each other, a lot of the time, the vast majority of the time, they would aim over the heads of the opponent because they didn't want to kill another human. That's how hard it is for you to drag yourself to do that, right? So by the time you get to Vietnam, people were so much better at killing each other that it was like the efficacy was just crazy. And now you go to like the Afghanistan war, and you have soldiers that have become killing machines. But I'll say this, even in battles with killing machines, like from the 173rd Airborne Brigade, right, Infantry Brigade, you'd still see guys, there's so much going on, bombs going off, sometimes you're falling off of rocks, you're doing whatever, you miss. Okay, fine. I think that missing 5 times from 5 feet away is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why I'm saying it. I don't think this is a defense, because I can guarantee you in almost all, I would have hit him. The guy would have at least 2 45s in his back if he was running away or whatever, or in his forehead, guaranteed for sure with 6 shots at 5 feet. I can't imagine myself missing. I'm just saying that who knows? I don't know what actually happened.
But you also got to take into account what happened at the first assassination attempt.
Ridiculous, right?
We had that one Secret Service agent who couldn't even holster her gun.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to go to that because I was like, here's the problem is that these cops are not maybe what you think they are. That's where I was getting at. So this is not like the local SWAT guy that was a former Marine who had been to Afghanistan 6 times, and the guy sleeps with a pistol, by his side. Some of these cops are like, I got straight A's in college, right? I went to Yale, so I applied to the FBI. I got that job. I'm a DEI hire.
Yeah, I was going to say a Biden DEI hire.
Exactly. For Trump, right? Specifically for Trump. What was your score on the gun range? Oh, 1 out of 50? Okay, you go to the Trump team. So it could be like that. So I'm just, who knows why this person missed, but it does show, you're 100% right, complete and total incompetence by the Secret Service. What an embarrassment. The director of the SS should be gone far away. Yeah. They should never be in law enforcement. They don't know how to run probably a local podunk town kind of law force, much less something like the Secret Service. Obviously, the training, everything is bad there. It's an embarrassment. It's a true embarrassment. We used to think that these guys were like gators in the water. Yeah. And now they're like seals at SeaWorld, from the slideshow. They're like the sea, they're the clown. It's bad.
Did Trump appoint somebody to Secret Service yet? I don't remember.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people have been talking about Dan Bongino and so on, but who knows? I mean, but something needs to be done because that's a total embarrassment.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I'm just glad that we're getting some information about this shooter, because the first assassin, we have no information about Mr. Crooks except for the fact that people on the internet linked him to BlackRock, and we know that for a fact that he was in a BlackRock commercial. But other than that, we know very little about Mr. Crooks or the reasons why he did what he did, and I don't think we ever will, John.
Well, I mean, that's a really good point. The information that we do have is extremely embarrassing. So imagine what they're not telling us. If that's what's the least damaging thing that they're going to tell us, imagine what the rest of the report. Who does the other phone belong to, right? There's so much more that we need to know. We don't know anything about the first shooter. We don't know anything about this attempted guy, except that he's claiming that he's crazy, which we know that because he's a registered Democrat. Yeah. There's, all of these things are ridiculous. And they haven't told us anything. Hey, we still don't know about the mass shooter in Las Vegas. We don't know about the guy, the manifesto. I want to see the manifesto from the guy that went into a school shooting, the transgender guy that went into a school shooting. I want to know, like there's so many things that we don't know about. When something violent and crazy happens, it's on the news. They want to change the laws to restrict the rights of Americans, but they don't want to give us all the details about what happened there. That's when I call BS. I mean,
and there's
we
a
need
lot
to
of
know.
questions about the CEO killer, and we haven't talked about that.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. Yeah,
we haven't talked about that on the America show, but lots of questions about Luigi Mangione.
Nobody knows anything.
Yeah, well,
so what are we going to report?
He's an Ivy League educated guy. He was valedictorian of his high school class. The people that know him don't have any idea why he did this or what he's doing.
It's a very strange set of circumstances.
He was yelling at the media, saying something that you couldn't understand, but then said that this is insult the intelligence of Americans. He's pleading not guilty, if you can believe this. Just a lot of questions about these people, but I'm getting away from Florida at this point.
One of the funny things that I saw. So here's the thing. I don't trust that investigation either. So they haven't caught anything. A guy steals a car, right? With something in it and whatever, it's just a regular crime. They can't solve it. Nobody can solve it. Police can't solve it. The FBI can't solve any of the crimes, right? The FBI can only spy on Americans. They can spy on 3 groups of people. You're a devoted Republican. You're a mother who sends their kid to Catholic school. Those are the type of people that they're chasing down. But a crime like this, they can never solve it. Nothing. But this guy find this guy within minutes. I don't know. It seems fishy to me. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist about this. I'm just saying they never get it right. They never catch the guy. It's always forever. We never find out anything. But now we read the entire manifesto. We see that he's got the gun. The guy's wearing the same clothes. He has
the gun on him when he's at
McDonald's. On him, yeah. You shoot a guy. It's world international news, and you have the gun. Like he's eating a Big Mac with the gun on the table. What? It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I'm praying that it begins to make sense at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get back to Florida.
Yep.
All right, so amazingly, Miami-Dade County has unveiled Donald J. Trump Avenue.
Miami of all places. You know what I love about this is that Miami is like the center of American Hispanic places, right? It's like the center of the Hispanic world for American Hispanics. It's Miami. You speak Spanish in Miami, right? The city's drink is coffee, a cafecito. You can't go everybody speaks Spanish in Miami. You can be white, you can be black, you can be French, you can be from India, you can be Chinese, but in Miami, everybody speaks Spanish. And all those other different ethnicities, they learn to speak Spanish because it's convenient. It's charming. It's also annoying, especially if you don't speak Spanish. But the fact is, this is like the center of the universe for American Hispanics for the most part. And they just named a road after President Donald Trump because of why? Because he turned it red.
Historic flip of Miami-Dade County. Hasn't happened since 1988.
This is huge. This is huge. And it's in Hialeah of all places. I mean, come on. This is huge. I mean, when something like this happens, it's telling you that there's an awakening. And I wish that the Florida GOP would wake up. This is telling you that you are in danger because Americans know what's up. And if you don't know what's up, you better learn really quick what's up because you're going to begin to pay the consequences. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a third party, because here's the thing. Donald Trump doesn't necessarily control the Republicans who love him so much and who voted for him with such fervor, right? He doesn't control them because even they go away from him sometimes, right? They don't want swamp. They won't follow Trump to the swamp, right? So here's what I speculate. It's quite possible that you have a Trump third party movement begin to form. Even if Trump says, don't do it, be a Republican, don't ever vote for this third party called the Trump party, don't do it. Trump people are like, F it, I'm going to become part of the Trump party, And you're going to see this movement. You're going to be and it's going to break the Republican Party because they can't get their act together. So
I think as long as you have establishment rhinos running Tallahassee, you have these unbelievable grievance letters being sent out to loyal MAGA Republicans, trying to kick them out of the party.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of people wanting to create that third party, John, and
Yeah, absolutely.
anything to
Yeah.
do with the RPOF. And
Yep.
a lot of the FRA chapters across the state right now were created because those folks didn't want anything to do with the RPOF. So
I mean, that was the case in Osceola County, which we're
Yeah.
going to talk about in a
Yeah,
minute.
Absolutely. Well, this one brief bit of news before we get on to that. Dan Newlin named ambassador to Colombia by President Trump. You know, Dan Newlin was huge for President Trump this election cycle, put a lot of money into President Trump's campaign. He put up billboards across the nation in certain swing states for President Trump. Dan Newlin is an awesome guy. He's put on free concerts for the city of Orlando for multiple years. Just an amazing guy, man.
Man, this guy, I think that people don't understand who Dan Newlin is. He's not just an attorney that is a personal injury attorney. This guy is a sweetheart. This guy is a true patriot. He's his daughter is in the Air Force. Okay. He loves his kid and she's in the Air Force. He sacrifices for his country. I mean, this guy, this is somebody that Central Florida can be proud of. You know, Dan Newlin is somebody who Central Florida can really be proud of. We have John Morgan on one side and we have Dan Newlin on the other side, right? These are two big, huge lawyers here locally. John Morgan, the Democrat, okay, who's paid for like the whole weed movement and all kinds of stuff. And then you have Dan Newlin, who sends his child to the Air Force to serve her country. I mean, these are two like opposing figures. These are the dichotomies that we're facing in the United States right now. And John Morgan may have more money, but man, Dan Newlin is somebody that you can really be proud of supporting. He's a great guy. I mean, I would follow him to Colombia myself. I would work for him. I would go there. He's such a good guy. This is exactly the type of people that we want to be in the Republican Party is somebody like Dan Newlin. And somebody even mentioned his name in that Senate discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who it was? Jose Castillo. That's who it was. So Jose Castillo mentioned Dan Newlin for the Senate, and I think, I saw it. I was like, man, what a great idea that is. He deserves it. He's a good guy. He's a Central Florida guy. He can win in Florida. So, anyways, good guy, good for him.
You know, John Morgan has a lot of money invested in the weed, John. Period.
Yeah.
And he stands to make a lot of money off of weed. I think he wants to cement his legacy and his family finances through weed in Florida. So never forget that. He's hosted Barack Obama at his house when Obama was running for president. John Morgan hasn't done half the things and given back to the community like Dan Newlin has. So just never.
I mean, I don't know. Is that
about those two.
Is that true? I don't want to get sued by saying that John Morgan, John Morgan's going to pull out a calculator and do like a penny by penny. Rehash.
In my opinion, he hasn't given back as much as Dan Newlin has in the amounts of times they've been around. Because I know John Morgan has been in Central Florida and around for a very, very long time. I remember when I was a little kid seeing the commercials for Morgan, Culling, and Gilbert on TV. And now it's, Morgan and Morgan. But, he's been
Morgan, Culling, and Gilbert. Yeah.
And now it's just Morgan.
Morgan and Morgan, turned into Morgan, just a brand name.
Gilbert or somewhere else, But he's been around for a long time, but I don't remember the things.
But you know what? Here's the thing.
Especially in recent history, that Morgan is doing for the community that Dan Newlin is, except for trying to get rich off the marijuana issue here.
Here's the one thing I don't like about Morgan that really made me feel not so prideful about Morgan being from Central Florida is he mentioned in some article maybe I should run for something. I have more money than he does.
He was going to run for governor.
Yeah, so I was like, he was talking about Rick Scott. I have more money than Rick Scott. What kind of statement is that? It tells you think that, listen, you have more money than Donald Trump, maybe, for all I know. I don't care. Are you going to beat Donald Trump? No. The American people, it's not about the money that you have. Yeah, you can make a big campaign. Look, we see it. because that's why all these establishment bastards win. Right? Because the party gives them money, all this stuff. It's all crooked. We're all tired of that. Yeah. And Trump descends money, and Dan Newlin descends money too. It's not about how much money Dan Newlin has. It's about what a great guy, what a sacrificer, what a man of integrity he is. And that's, why I like Dan Newlin. It's not about how much money he has. I don't care how much money John Morgan. In fact, I know one of his neighbors used to work with me. And so, I mean, it's not like, nobody's impressed by your money at this point. Nobody's, a 19-year-old might be impressed by your money, but adult men and women, they're not impressed by your money. We want to be impressed by your person, your character. And I'm saying that you've got bad character. I'm just saying when you say something like, oh, I got more money than he does. How old are you?
There is a chance he will be the Democrat running for governor in 2026. I pray that's not the case. He needs a new marketing guy. His ads are so hokey and horrible. I don't know. But anyway, we'll move on from there. I'm not going to go after his marketing. Anyway, War of the Elephants, John. The War of the Elephants, RPO versus the FRA. And we had the special, like you said. We did the special on this and what's happening here in the state of Florida. If you want to talk a little bit about what's going on here, John.
Oh, I'm not a fan of the title War on Elephants because this is rhinos against elephants, right?
It truly is.
And that's what this is. It's establishment rhinos versus elephants, which is Republicans and conservatives, grassroots conservatives. That's what this is about. And people like Evan Power, as we mentioned earlier, should really be ashamed of themselves. They're carrying this water. I think that there's going to be there's going to be people filing lawsuits about it. It's going to get in the news eventually when they start. Of course, you're not going to see it on like Florida Voice News or Florida Voice. I don't know why they haven't covered it. Apparently, they're not a real news organization.
No,
you would think that would be the first thing that they cover.
Florida's Voice is an apparatus of the RPOF. It is.
Yeah, it's basic. It's a DeSantis mouthpiece, I think, right? They're fans of DeSantis. They'll do whatever DeSantis is, but they're not going to cover against whatever. So they're like, you have Florida politics and you have Florida's Voice. And it's just like here, the Osceola Gazette, right? They sit, they lay on their backs like a little chihuahua begging for scraps from the county, right? So that the county puts their ads. I guess that's what Florida's Voice is for the state level, and then you have the Florida politics, which has always been pay to play. They have no standards, no integrity. For them, it's just straight up pay to play, right? Unless something meaty comes on or something that's, you would think that they would cover this because it's damaging against Republicans and their left-leaning bias.
Somebody would.
Yeah, somebody would.
Liberty
yeah,
Sentinel
Jacob
did.
Ogles. Well, hey, Jacob Ogle. Why wouldn't Jacob Ogle cover this, right?
Right.
So, I mean, you would think that he would.
Alex Rubin covered it, and we've covered it, and that's it. That's all you've seen so far.
No, we've seen it. The Miami Independent. It was in the Miami Independent, right? They talked about it. There is a petition right now going around for Evan Power and Bill Helmick to step down. I think that people throughout the state, because I've had people contacting me say, "Hey, this is what's going on in my state here." They're calling me with updates, right? And in fact, I have an update here. I will save it for the show tomorrow, but I have updates, and people are calling throughout the state, and they're pissed. People are pissed. So people have been part of the member. I have been a member of the REC in Osceola County from 2012. From 2012, I've helped people run their races. I've contributed. I've done whatever. I've worked. In 2012, I worked my butt off. From then on till now, I worked my butt off. And I'm the only real Republican that has been elected in Osceola County for I don't know how long. No. So now they're kicking me out of the party because I'm a member of this organization. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, I'm not going to allow the party to mandate what member I am to what organization. I want to, I'll make a deal. I'll quit all the organization. I'll allow the RPOF to tell me what membership I can own when I can decide for them that they're not going to be crazy drunks anymore. How about that? I think that's a fair trade, right? The RPOF can't be a bunch of drunks that cheat on their spouses, that act like idiots, that do drugs, that be completely and totally with a lack of character. And they could tell me that I can't be a member of the FRA. I'll trade that, right? I'll trade it. Because as long as you're a bunch of drunks and you act like idiots and you cheat on your spouses and you're trying to be a philanderer or whatever, then I have no interest. I have no interest. And I'm not saying that Evan Powers any of those things. I'm just saying that in 2018 he gave us reason to believe that he was, right? And then also now he must have been drunk when he made this decision, because it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm being facetious, but yeah, that's a stupid decision to attack your own members right after an election. There's no wisdom to it. It's incredible.
And I these letters, John, right? Like the one you got. The one
these
I
letters.
got.
So let's pull up. These are the letters. Like, so, let's do some context. So people started getting these letters. This is the second notice, but the other one is the first one.
All right, I'll
so
bring that one up first.
Yeah, bring up that one. Bring up the other one. That's my address there. So now everybody can send me hate mail. Thanks for that, Tom. So this letter is to notify you that a grievance has been filed against you in accordance with RPOF Rule 22, and based on your position within the Republican Party of Florida, REC, the grievance alleges that you are currently in violation of Rule 1.A2, which states no member of the state executive committee of a county executive committee may be a member of an officer or any organization that has been deemed by the RPOF chairman to be. So let me ask you to scroll up a little bit. Why is it that the RPOF is attacking the member instead of the organization? If what they were saying was true, that the Florida Republican Assembly was in violation of the intellectual property of the RPOF, why aren't they suing them? No. Because they don't. I think that at the end of the day, they would lose the case, and that's why they don't want to do it. But it has been alleged that you are in violation of Rule 1.82 based on your current membership or holding office. Okay, so listen, take that down.
Yeah.
They did not send me the grievance. I don't know who filed the grievance. I don't know what evidence they have. I replied to Bill Helmick, who sent this email, and I said, Bill, I don't see any evidence. Show me the evidence that I'm a member of an organization. Do you have any evidence? Can I see the grievance? Can I see? So he replied, and they sent us the second notice. You can pull up the second notice.
Yeah.
Now that you know what it's about.
Sent
and
via
scroll
email
up.
And certified U.S. mail. John, by the way, I want to say these were not sent certified U.S. mail. These were sent by UPS courier.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Keep going. So we're gonna give you an extension, okay? As meeting is wait, stop. You're going too far up. There we go. All right, so too far up. Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at a delay screen. So a grievance committee here, you have a rule and when it recommended the following RPO chairman and power, blah, 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 to provide you with an extension until January and complete and submit the attached affidavit available here, confirming you're not a member of local chapters in compliance with RPOF rules temporarily. 2, they've decided to temporarily suspend your membership in the REC until the affidavit's returned and accepted. So they found Americans guilty of something that they won't even provide evidence of or go through due process. This is not due process because they're supposed to give you 10 days to respond according to their own bylaws. They gave almost everyone 7 days. They're in violation of their own bylaws. So we could accept grievance. Now, we already discussed that the dirtbag in our own county is the guy who's the chair of the grievance committee. So how is that dirtbag going to oversee my grievance that I file against the dirtbag in my county or the dirtbag that's in Tallahassee that sent these? Okay, this is dumb. There's one reason why this is happening, and then we'll move on from this story. The reason that this is happening is because the Florida Republican Assembly was making grounds endorsing candidates in the primary, and it was hurting the establishment rhinos in primaries. Therefore, the establishment rhinos who got the Tallahassee, who owned Evan Power, told Evan Power, hey, you better fix it, because if you don't fix it, we can't give your boss, who's Ramba Consulting, who's a lobbying firm, money to make our things happen, and then you don't get your money, and so on and so forth. You see, blah, 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 blah. I'm forecasting here the conversations that he must be having about that. Yeah. So that's the problem. It really stinks. It's a shame. And it's just terrible. Anyways, so we're going to put the petition here down below. Sign the petition to have Evan Power removed from office. Evan Power needs to know that it's the grassroots first, and then it's all you snakes in Tallahassee that come after that. All the establishment rhinos come after the people who won the election, which is the grassroots Republicans, the Trump supporters, America First, and that's exactly who they're attacking. Evan Power is attacking the grassroots, America First, MAGA Republicans that got Trump into power through this red wave. So make sure that you sign the petition. We're going to put the petition in. You can go to change.org. And if you do a Google for MAGA/America First, you'll probably come up. So just it's on change.org. But we're going to, anyways, we'll link it down at the bottom. I'm going to do that now. As a matter of fact, I'll pull it up. So look for that link, because we always say we're going to put up the link and then we always forget. So put the link up.
Hey, you could do that right now, John.
I'm going to do that right now. Exactly. Good idea. Good idea, Tom. Good idea. I'm going to take the post.
While I lead into this next story.
Okay, you read the, go ahead.
All right. So, yes, Trump endorsed Randy Fine in Florida's 6th district, but that has sent a lot of the other Republicans packing. And this special election is set for April 1st, John. There is Randy Fine with President Trump at the Florida Freedom Festival. And we were there. That was a great time. A number of Republicans had expressed interest in running. However, Ernest Audino confirmed that he was dropping out after announcing a run. The retired Army Brigadier General from Port Orange has served as district director for Mike Waltz. Then you have Joe Mullins, a former Flagler County Commissioner and Trump loyalist. He has also dropped out. He says, I decided I stand behind Trump in his decision. I had posted a few days ago that if Randy Fine got in as Trump asked him, I would step back because I do support what the president wants and needs to succeed 100%. This third hopeful, Air Force retiree Steve Rance of the Villages said in a text to the News Journal on Wednesday that he too will exit. In my attempt to make a bid for this seat, I was not able to speak with President Trump before he made his selection and endorsement. I firmly and completely stand with President Trump, his decision, and I know Senator Randy Fine will do diligence in this position. And then finally, a friend of the show, Anthony Sabatini, a former lawmaker and Lake County Commissioner who had suggested he was thinking of running, also made it clear on social media on Tuesday that he will not run. Although we need better people in Congress, 85% are limp-wristed rhinos and or anti-American communists. With 63 days left until the primary, I don't have enough time to run due to my current trial calendar and county commission schedule. He also went on to say that he felt that Randy Fine was one of those limp-wristed rhinos, John. I just didn't put it up there, but yeah, he did go on. This is
I love Sabatini. I think that Sabatini says a lot of the things that a lot of people want to say. Fortunately for me, he doesn't have to say it for me. I say it myself. And I don't know Randy Fine personally. We've spoken highly of Randy Fine here because of legislation. He just put in laws. Now, here's the thing. You have to remember, the former legislators, they know each other. They see each other behind closed doors, just like I see school board members and I see educators behind closed doors and I see certain things behind closed doors. Well, so did Sabatini. So if Sabatini's telling you he's a limp-wristed rhino, well, then there he has credibility, right? Because he does call out rhinos. Ideologically, Sabatini is one of the few people who's to the right of me. So you got to wonder, what is it that makes him a rhino? I don't know. So, but there's room for cause. For one, he was switching back and forth on his endorsement, but Trump supports him. He's going to win. Randy Fine just finished the campaign. He's probably got a whole bunch of leftover money that he's going to switch over. It's, it's going to happen like that. You would have to be a billionaire who's going to devote nothing but time to this to squash Randy Fine, because I don't think Trump is going to spend time. He's not going to do that much. His endorsement was just going to do it, and that was it.
Well,
so
the Democrats running for this seat is an even bigger clown show, John. And one of them we're going to talk about in the Osceola segment. But then there's one that is a carpetbagger from Tennessee who leads an organization that promotes abortions and protesting outside of different places in favor of abortions and stuff like that. A real winner. It's going to be a very interesting race when this seat comes up, and it's appropriate, I think, especially on the Democrat side with the people that are running, and maybe we'll get into that on a different Florida show. But you look at some of these Democrat candidates that are running for that seat, and absolutely it makes sense that it's going to be on April 1st. So anyway, let's move on from there. Very interesting, John. You hear a lot of Republicans in the state very happy that Florida Representative Susan Valdes switched from Democrat to Republican, citing her former party's neglect of her community needs. Now, a lot of people might be very happy about this, saying, oh, wow, she saw the light. She's coming over. She's done with the Democrat Party. But one person who's not saying that is Jake Hoffman, who is the executive director of the Tampa Bay Young Republicans. He's also co-chair of the Young Republicans National International Committee. This is what he has to say about this, John.
Big news out of Tampa yesterday is that State House Representative Susan Valdes, who's been a Democrat her entire life, is now a Republican. And we have people like the governor and the State House leadership and everybody else telling us, like, oh, welcome her, we'll bring her in with open arms and everything. And I, for one, am just kind of like, no. Why would I do that? This is not somebody who just like saw the error of their ways and like became like a Republican over the past couple of years, and they've been like, increasingly posting more base stuff. This is somebody who has been a Democrat their entire life. Okay, even a month ago, they're posting stuff like this. They got elected as a Democrat. Again, they were anti-Trump, they were anti-Republican, they were anti-everything that we believe in. No conservative principles, no conservative values, none of that kind of stuff. She's never been any of that kind of thing. And then to boot, the biggest thing here is that 6 days ago, she ran, not 6 years, 6 days ago, she ran to be the head of the Democratic Party here in Hillsborough County, and she lost. And now she's a Republican. So what, if you would have won, you would have like just worked against us for the next 4 years? Every candidate, every issue, everything that we believe in, you were going to work against it, but then 6 days ago you had an epiphany, and now you're a Republican and we're supposed to embrace you? No, if I have to be the one to pull your card, I'm going to be the one to pull your card, because you're not a Republican, and we don't need you. We don't really need her, because we already have a supermajority in the State House. We're going to get everything done that we want to get done. We don't need an extra vote or anything like that. And look, if you want to get some other stuff done for your district, I get that. You got 2 years left, but you don't have a political future. I don't care if you were a Republican now. And the Democrats are right. You made promises to your constituents. You lied to them. And it's not like we should just embrace everybody in open arms. We don't need more rhinos.
I don't know who that kid is, but I love him. What is going on in Tampa Bay? My God. Okay, so look, if you just saw a picture of that, you'd be like, okay, this kid needs to go buy some sleeves. But no, this kid's he's on a roll. That's exactly right. That kid is 100% right. In fact, we talked about our friend of the show, Anthony Sabatini, former rep, recently. Let me read to you what he wrote on Twitter the other day. I saw it. I thought that's who you were going to pull up because we didn't have as much time to prep for this show as we normally do. Yeah. But he says, Tallahassee, one of the dumbest things to witness in Florida politics is in quite a while was State House Democrat Susan Valdes switching to the Republican Party yesterday and the way it was rolled out. Some people online were trying to sell it as a huge win for the Republican Party, LOL. Meanwhile, this is a far-left Democrat who believes in genital mutilation of minors, gun control, higher taxes, late-term abortions, more government, open borders, amnesty, hate speech codes, political correctness, DEI, CRT, and the LGBTQ plus agenda. But now she has an R next to her name, so Republicans are now told to be happy. LOL. It's perfect. It's a perfect illustration of what happens when you have empty-suited, elected Republican officials who don't believe the Republican Party means anything specific, any specific thing at all. It's why Republicans have continue to win a majority of the. Sorry, I'm misreading this. It's why Republicans have continued. This guy was speech to texting with rage. I could tell. It's why Republicans have continued to win a majority of elections in the country over the last 50 years, and yet have retreated and lost on nearly every issue during that time. Man, that's 100% true. Our elected Republican officials need to understand that the Republican Party actually has to mean something. It has to have a core set of philosophical beliefs and principles that officials are held accountable to. We should not be marking it as a triumph when somebody enters the party who shares literally zero beliefs with the Republican Party platform and then moderates the caucus further. It's why, as chairman of the Lake County Republican Party, I helped pass the first platform and list of annual legislative priorities for elected officials to pass. They were later adopted by the Florida GOP. Republican elected should be focused on passing conservative legislation, not recruiting people to the party who are going to water down our caucus and moderate it. The legislature is already dominated by rhinos who have already announced that they are going to be fighting against open carry of firearms and voting to pass mass migrant housing plans for Florida's $1.1 million illegals filed last week.
Wow.
Crap. Hold on. Well, there's one more sentence. they should focus. I almost lost my mind when I found out they were going to spend $1 million housing these illegals. They should housing 1 million illegals. They should focus on conservative policy instead of nominalism. All of this, another reason why the Florida House must start a freedom caucus. Oh my gosh, man. That's why he's a friend of the show, because the guy has friends. I don't care what you think about Sabatini. He's a principled conservative. He's to the right of center. He's not shy about it. And if we had 50 Sabatinis in Tallahassee, Florida would be the best state. It already is the best state in the country with a bunch of rhinos, but it would be the greatest state ever. And it would be probably never be caught up with. Our economy would be booming. We would probably be fighting this housing problem that I don't hear them talking about. No. All right. What are you going to do about fixing there's all kinds of problems.
Insurance crisis.
The insurance crisis. There's all kinds of problems going on. I don't know how they're going to solve it, but they're not even talking about it right now. So and it's why. Okay. So this was the biggest story in the election, right? The housing crisis. It was the biggest thing going on. It's what everybody's complaining about. Why is it not being talked about in the news every day? One word. Why isn't it being done? Lobbyists. Lobbyists have control of the discussion right now, and it's happening behind closed doors. So that's exactly right. There's now that problem's going to be resolved. There's going to be legislation. They're going to deal with it at some point. But what determines who wins from that discussion is who's at the table. And right now it's a table full of lobbyists and rhinos. That the rhinos are underneath the table on their knees, and lobbyists are at the on top of the table discussing it. And that's the problem right now. So somebody like Sabatini, he'll be my friend because at least he has integrity, and he's 100% right in this situation.
Yeah, if you're a voter, you need to put pressure on your representatives now. Well, maybe not
before they go to Tallahassee.
Right before they go to Tallahassee, right before they go to the legislative session. If you want something done about the home insurance crisis, you need to put the pressure on them. Because
absolutely.
If you don't, it's going to be swept under the rug, and once again, and you're going to still deal with these high premiums that are outrageous at this time. Yes, we should not be celebrating. We should be questioning when a Democrat turns to Republican like that, all right? And I've been doing that about a certain Republican here in Osceola County. When I'm hearing certain people say that this person should be the REC chair. But you know what? With the way that our REC is now, it wouldn't make a damn difference if you put this.
I know she can't lose any more races for Republicans than we're losing now. I mean,
if you put this rhino in there as the REC chair, but yes, you should definitely look at somebody's history and question why they made that change. With this woman
she wants
here,
to stay in office.
You heard what he said. 6 days ago, she was running to chair the Democrats in that county, and now she's a Republican.
Yeah.
6 months ago, she was posting, don't turn the clock back 50 years in reference to voting for President Trump. I mean, come on.
And I'm not saying, hey, don't let her in the party. Of course, she's going to she wants to switch, let her caucus with you guys. Why not? But at the same time, what you got to do is hold her to a standard. She's got to say, these are the party I'm switching. This is not an explanation for the people. Don't just be like, okay, be happy that this is happening. No, we got to listen. These politicians have to be accountable to the American people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so this is a funny story, John. At least it ends kind of funny. It's kind of sad for the guy. We were talking about on the America show these drones that are flying over New Jersey. There's been all these videos. People are saying they're helicopters, they're this, they're that. But this Florida man actually did have a drone flying over his house. It was a Walmart delivery drone. He decided to shoot it with a pistol. Then he joked with the police officers as he's getting arrested that he can't breathe when they put the cuffs on him, obviously in reference to some things that some people say when they get arrested. Watch this. This is pretty funny.
Point today, did a drone fly over your house and you shoot at it? I'm going to be real blunt with you and ask.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, why'd you shoot at it?
Because I thought it was somebody and turned around playing games on my house.
I got you. Where did you see the drone at?
Right above me.
What, can you walk out and just kind of show me?
Right there.
Sitting straight above it?
Straight above me.
Do you have any idea
Hovered, lowered some kind of cord down or something, turned around and sent something back up, and then after it was shot at, it turned around and went north.
Gotcha. Okay. What'd you shoot at it with?
9mm.
Okay. All right.
How much trouble am I in?
Quite a bit. You've been honest with me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Quite a bit, actually. So there's a federal charge that goes along with it. There's a felony charge that goes along with it. That's kind of like where we're at.
Okay.
Okay.
What happens and what happens and what?
Well, before we continue this conversation, I'm really just for you being honest. You really just took me off guard. I'm not gonna.
What am I going to do? I'm going to lie.
True. All right, sir. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say
You're putting me under arrest.
I'm just going to arrange you the Miranda warning just so I can get it out. That way you and I can continue our conversation, okay?
I understand the Miranda warning. I don't have to speak to you unless I want an attorney, okay?
I got you. So, it was hovering above your house. It lowered something down.
No, it just hovered above my house.
You said something about the pulley system.
A cord or something. It stayed there for about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, I shot at it. Okay.
I got you.
And the cord went up. It turned because it was facing east.
Okay.
Because that's east, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was working on my pool equipment.
Oh, you were outside when you noticed it?
Oh, I was working on my pool equipment.
Gotcha.
Waved it off and everything. Never left. I went inside, went into the safe, got the weapon, came out, tried to shoot off again. It didn't move. I fired one round at it. Now they say I hit it, so I must be a good shot. Or else it's not that far away. So I'm under all sorts of, they say there's $10,000 worth of damage to the drone and all sorts of stuff. So I'm going to wind up having to find a real good defense lawyer.
You want a coffee in the front?
Whatever you need to do by protocol.
Well, no, we have.
You've been fine. There's no issues. We're not,
Yeah.
Just let me know if it's too tight, all right?
Yeah. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
He was a good sport about it. I mean, he didn't lie. I mean, I with all this drone stories in the news and hearing that they might be Iranian in nature and all this stuff, if I saw a drone over my house,
listen,
I don't know. I might shoot it. I don't know.
No. Walmart better not. The Walmart better not press any charges. There's going to be a federal charge. Walmart. That's what it was. A Walmart drone, right?
Yeah.
They better fix this for this guy. Number one, Walmart will be hated. What Walmart does not want is to invest $1 billion in drone technology that allows them to do this delivery, and then for people to hate it so much that nobody uses it, right? Yeah. So Walmart better do the right thing. Don't press any charge of this guy. Go fix the problem. Because here's the thing. If I were this guy and I were this guy's lawyer, I went to law school, but I'm the lawyer, right? But if I were a lawyer, if I had my bar license, I would call this guy and I'd be like, listen, let's go sue Walmart for threatening your house and you not knowing and putting you to scare and causing you all this stress, and it led to this and whatever, right? Yeah. This is absolutely a good case at the very beginning of this drone, process where he can say, you violated, these are my property rights. And right now there's all kinds of laws about how high up and whatever. Yeah. But, in case of a mistaken identity, they can't just write law. I mean, they can. I guess they could. You have a whole bunch of rhinos. They could write laws that only favor the company to do it, right? But you cannot go invade somebody's space. He doesn't know if that's an observation drone. He doesn't know what's going on, if that was an Iranian drone. But it's certainly a lot of stress, emotional distress that he's going under. I mean, he could sue Walmart. So Walmart better make it right for this gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, they should get it out there and let the community know that they are going to be performing deliveries with these drones. Make these drones
they should text you
identifiable, you know what I mean? So that people know it's a Walmart drone.
They need to be, it needs to have a big flag on it that says Walmart, right? I don't care if it makes it less efficient. It doesn't make the drone as good. I don't care what it is, but there needs to be something. They need to be able to identify themselves. Yes. Yeah, you can't just be shooting things out of the sky. Right? Okay, I get that. but you also just can't be invading people's privacy.
Right.
Right. He might not have been working on pool equipment. He might have been skinny dipping. And then Walmart comes up and takes pictures of this guy. And then what security do they have on their systems? And what are they observing? And Americans, we don't know yet if these drones are observing our homes, surveilling, or does the FBI have access to these drones? Because we know the FBI can't be trusted with any of our information. Right. So are they can they perceive what's going on? We've all seen the plumbing truck that is actually a cop van, and now they're going to be, Walmart drone is now surveilling your house. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of complexities to this that need to be discussed, and we can't leave the rights of the American man or woman last in the discussion.
Yeah, no doubt. But I think that this is going to be the more prevalent form of delivery from these places like Amazon, like Walmart. It's going to be drones. But they do need to be identifiable, like you said, and they need to let the community know that these things are going to be flying over and they're going to be dropping off packages and stuff. The American public, that there's more shopping happening online now than ever before at any time. And if it's going to get there faster, people are going to be all about the drones. So just make it identifiable so we know what it is. We don't think it's from Iran or it's a UFO or some other stupid stuff. But anyway, John, let's move on. Let's move on to our favorite, Osceola County.
Come on, guys.
All right. So starting off, Osceola County, John. We did talk about this race for Florida's 6th district there. Did you know that there is a teacher from Osceola County that is running for one of these seats? He's one of the Democrats running in this special House election, Florida 6th district. Here he is. His name is, he's a Democrat who previously ran for U.S. Senate, and I didn't know that, but he says he is entering the special election to serve as congressman to Volusia and Flagler counties. Josh Wheel, 40, is a math teacher and instructional coach at New Beginnings Education Center and Kissimmee Middle School, part of the Osceola County Public Schools. He made a bid for the Senate before dropping out just prior to qualifying in 2022 when then U.S. Representative Valdes went on to challenge Marco Rubio, the incumbent. Wheel will be among the longest of long shots in a district that was 49% Republican and 26% Democrat going into the November 5th election. Donald Trump won with more than 60% in each of the 6 counties that make up the 6th district. So I don't know what Mr. Wheel is thinking here by getting into this race, but like they said, he is the longest of long shots. It sounds to me like he just wants to be an elected official and not really a teacher.
This is when they talk about long shots, man. This is like, in Napoleon Dynamite, where the guy says, "I can throw a football over that mountain over there." This guy says, "Hold my beer. I can throw a football over the mountain on the other side of the planet." Yeah. He's never going to win this seat. I don't know. He's got to be single because to pay $10,000 for the filing fee, I'm sure his wife would kill him knowing that he's going to lose this seat badly. Yeah. It's just not a good idea. And if there's more than one person, you're not even going to win the nomination. Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead. Give us some news and content to write. But at the same time, oof.
It's like Vince McMahon used to say, you have no chance in hell. This guy has no chance in hell. I'm sorry. But, hearing that he ran for Senate against Valdes or tried to, and now he's jumping into this race all the way up in the 6th district, it sounds like he just wants to be elected. He didn't run in this cycle in any seats here in Osceola or Orange, so I don't know.
I don't know what kind of name ID has he built. This is the areas of just south of St. Augustine.
You were a school board member. You don't even know who this guy is. So.
That's rough. Yeah. Okay, so you got like St. Augustine, Palm Coast, Daytona Beach, the land just north of Leesburg. It carves out Ocala, but it's most of like everything west of Ocala, west of Gainesville. So, it's a good, nice district. I'd love to run, I'd love to run in a district like that too, because nice shape. It's like a little circle. Um, but I mean, this guy's not going to win. This is a rough. I mean, he's going to pay 10 grand. He's going to pay 10. What is he? He's trying to gain X followers.
I
mean,
hope the
I don't know.
Democrat Party put up the 10 grand for him because otherwise he
I
just
doubt
threw
it.
it away.
I doubt it. Ricky Freed had a lot of joints to buy over the last couple of election cycles, because to be losing the way that the Democrats are losing, you got to be high in order to be able to live life.
Hey, and we all know she is, so yeah. All right, so
I don't know if you smoked. I'm just assuming.
D.R. Horton eyeing more land east of Lake Toho. If you thought the building in St. Cloud is over, think again. Here it comes. The home builder was previously under contract for 321 acres south of Kissimmee Park Road and submitted a concept plan for that property in 2022. Osceola County's planning department has denied the plan 4 times. I can't even say this guy's name, but he is with Boyd Civil Engineering and has not resubmitted after the 4th denial back in December of 2022. Instead, he's working with D.R. Horton on plans for several nearby parcels that could be entitled for about 725 home sites. He recently held a pre-application meeting with the county's Development Review Committee to discuss the plans and transportation requirements for the project. We're working on all of these concurrently, and they're in various stages, so I know transportation is going to be a big issue. Gee, you think? 3 of the parcels are owned by Ivy Groves Ltd., including 69 acres north of Kissimmee Park Road that are inside the East Lake Toho mixed-use district. This guy has filed a concept plan for that parcel to create 292 lots, including 72 rear-loaded townhomes, 161 front-loaded 50-foot lots, and 59 rear-loaded 40-foot bungalow lots. The other parcels are outside the district, and he has applied to rezone them from agricultural to low-density residential. The site plan from Boyd shows another 306 single-family and townhouse lots on the 2 parcels owned by Ivy Groves Ltd., and another 129 units on a 4th parcel, which is owned by the Whaley family. So, yeah, a lot more building on the way. I'm telling you, John, this place is going to be unlivable. It's going to be unlivable sooner rather than later.
I mean, it's close to unlivable now. The traffic is horrendous. These county commissioners have destroyed this thing. Ricky Booth has destroyed his district. Brandon Arrington has destroyed his district. Every district. Peggy Choudhury is trying hard to destroy her district. So, Cheryl Grebe, she's a... So, it's just a...
We'll never forget that Cheryl Grebe lives outside of Osceola County. She does not live in the county.
Yeah, I think her plan was to retire and move out to the coast, and then they begged her to run against Jackie Espinoza, and kept her in town. But here's the thing: these people, this building is gonna get terrible. It's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's never gonna end. The only thing that you can do is you have to vote in the county commission. You have to remove the county commissioners. That's the only way. You have to remove the county commissioners. You have to remove these city council members in St. Cloud. If you don't, then in 10 years from now, 192 is going to look like Colonial Drive in Orlando. Yeah. That's what it's going to. That's what they're trying to do. And a lot of us live close to 192, right? You're not that far from 192. Imagine not living that far from Colonial Drive in Orlando. Yeah. And if you know Colonial Drive, you don't want to live on Colonial Drive. Yeah. So
you're going to see the property values tank. You're going to see them tank.
And it's going to look like a ghetto. It's going to be a huge ghetto. We don't have the infrastructure. You have to remember, Colonial Drive's not the only street that you can drive on in Orlando. 192 is the only corridor going in that you can actually drive to get from place to place, right? You can go on and off of it, but at the end of the day, that's the main corridor of Osceola County, and they're building everything there. Everything is on 192. And they're gonna. It's a disaster. This is a disaster, and you have to vote every single one of these politicians out. Every single one of them, you got to vote them out. You cannot keep a single incumbent.
Yeah, we've been telling people this for years. I've been telling people this for years. What's coming, and if you want to preserve any type of decent style of living here, you have to vote these people out. You have to get them out right away, every chance you get. But it seems like these people just keep getting elected, John. It's crazy.
Yeah, you got to curious, right? There's a lot of questions. A lot of them, I think people are looking into the odd kind of way that the elections turned out, and that's going to be a something for to discuss on a different show. At one point, we're going to have a show where we're like we're catching the perp walk of like the supervisor of elections and county commissioners, and we're going to be watching that perp walk, like like let's see it, right? Like pointing the camera. That's not a gun, by the way. That's a camera. Just so that you know, that's a camera.
And this is praying. I'm praying.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm praying that happens. All right, so Osceola County is taking the next step to draw a South Korean company to Neo City. Yay!
Hey, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! They're not gonna come. They're not coming. No.
I doubt it. But
they're not coming.
This South Korean manufacturer wants to add a presence in Neo City through a $470 million investment in exchange for job incentives, and is taking the first steps to do so. The company would seek to build a 75,000 square foot facility with a minimum of 600 employees at an average salary of $85,000. Construction of the facility would cost $100 million, with an equipment cost of $170 million. Now, the Osceola County Commission did approve the first steps for this to happen. So there's a lot of questions that go into this, John. Like,
they don't care. They don't care. Listen, Osceola County would say yes, yes, yes. It doesn't matter. Oh, you want to come? Somebody wants to. I want to open up a Domino's Pizza in Neo City. No problem. We'll give you all the incentives you need because crap. If we don't put something in Neo City soon, I mean, it's been 10 years. They haven't. So they're going to give them. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to give them everything they asked for, and the disaster of Neo City is going to get bigger. They said 600 jobs, and they want employment incentives, which means that they're going to get tax credits for the amount of jobs that they create. Now, you're going to have $85,000 a year jobs. That's the average. So you're going to have some good ones, some bad ones. 85 grand is not that much money, okay? 85 grand is not a lot of money. That's not making people rich at all. So what are they manufacturing? It's not manufacturing like some kind of super high-tech stuff, right? So it's mid-tech, mid-level jobs, average and mid-level jobs. There's going to be a few of the big jobs. And where are those big jobs going to go? Orange County, right?
They're going to say this, John, that the $85,000 jobs aren't going to go to anybody that's living here in Osceola County.
That's a possibility too, yes. So they're going to split the jobs.
$85,000 a year is higher than the average median wage in Osceola County. So they're not going to go to anybody here in Osceola County. None of those jobs will go to anybody here in Osceola County.
Yeah, so the county's going to pay for the incentive so that they don't look like the bunch of idiots that they are. And Don Fisher doesn't want to look like the absolute he's a pirate captain of the worst pirate ship on the planet. Pirates because they're a bunch of criminals in the county commission. And this guy's a captain that has been run aground for like the past 10 years on Neo City. And this guy is not going to get anybody to come and give jobs. Listen, you don't have to give incentives if you did the right thing. If the project was going the right way, you wouldn't have to give up the entire tax incentive. What's the point of having these things if you're not gaining anything? There's no revenue increase, right? So, I mean, it's just they're giving money away. They're giving the taxpayer money away. It would have been better for them to leave that $360 million that they spent on Neo City back into the hands of the citizens of Osceola County because they have ruined it. And our money, imagine the opportunity cost. Yeah. So our money 10 years ago, what it was worth today, $350 million is not that much. But 10 years ago, when they started this project, our money was valuable. It had value. They spent a ton of money. And now, nothing. I mean, Neo City is a bust. A bust.
It's an absolute bust. When the most prestigious thing that's in there is a school, you have a problem.
And why did they get the school built there? They built the school there as a favor to their friends because they had nothing. So they built a school to save their butts, and the school district built the money because they control. All those politicians are controlled by the same people. And so they built the school there because they couldn't show nothing. They couldn't just show an empty lot. That's what it was before. I mean, just a shame. A sham. Criminal sham.
All right, John. So there was a lot of questions about what was going on at at Heritage Park there. Well, we have some answers. Orlando City soccer owners propose a $1 billion revamp for Osceola Heritage Park with expanded facilities and mixed-use development. Here's the story.
Osceola County, and all new tonight, plans are in the works for a major overhaul of Osceola Heritage Park. According to court documents released today, the proposal submitted this month by the owners of Orlando City and Orlando Pride showed plans for an expansion of the team's headquarters and 18 training fields. Project Next, as the proposal is called, also calls for apartments, hotels, restaurants, and retail space. This comes after the county put part of the land that Osceola Heritage sits on up for sale or lease last September. Osceola County Manager Don Fisher told West 2 this afternoon that he will recommend county commissioners proceed with negotiations on Monday.
Of course.
If they authorize me to proceed forward, both myself, the staff, and the attorney's office will begin negotiations with the representatives from the Wilf family and see if we can get something called a development agreement done. And in that development agreement will be components about land transactions, whether any need to happen, leasing of soccer fields.
Fisher says based on the developer's schedule, they are talking about construction starting it of hotels by next year.
You know, Tom, you remember when Saturday Night Live, they used to have, what was the guy's name? The Attorney General under Trump for the first month or 4 months. What was it? He was a senator, a small guy. What was his name? I think he was a senator from Alabama or something. I can't remember. Anyways, on Saturday Night Live, they made him out to be a possum. So every time they would have him and they would have a female SNL character play a possum, and she would like put on a possum costume and say that it was him, and it was like he was kissing Trump's butt all the time, right? Man, what was his name? Started with it. I was gonna say Pace. I'll have to look it up. Anyways,
be here in Osceola County.
Don Fisher is a possum. Have you? This guy looks like a possum. He looks just like him. Pete. His name was Pete. It's coming to me. Let me see.
Google it, John. Google it.
Yeah, General Pete. Let me see. So, anyways, that's what this guy is. It's just he's a possum. The guy's a possum.
I was gonna say weasel, but possum's good. I mean, yeah.
He's a possum. This guy's a possum. He's like a humanoid possum. This guy, of course, they're going to go to negotiate. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad deal, too. I haven't looked at the details. I don't know if it's a bad deal. I don't know that. I mean, who am I to decide if that's a bad deal or a good deal? All I know is that they only make bad deals in Osceola County, so I can't imagine that this is a good one. But at the same time, the funny thing is that this guy is so desperate. Wasn't there another guy wasn't there another organization that put in a proposal to the county?
I thought there was.
They got two proposals. They got two proposals. They didn't like one. They looked at another, I thought, and I don't know if it fell through or not. But now these guys are going to get. So what's going to happen? The county's going to hand it over to Orlando City. That's the citizens' property. There were families that gave that to the county for a purpose, and the county's like, we don't care about the legacy of your family. We don't care that they wanted that for this. We're taking it. We're selling. This is a fire sale. And when you're operating with the desperation of a fire sale, which is what this guy, he lives his life as, it's like Osceola County is a fire sale. He's got to go from one to the other. It's just sad. It's disgusting. This guy really is the worst. Where is he from? And what made me think of the possum is that I was thinking this guy must be from the deepest, darkest corner of like the Appalachian Trail or something, hanging in a tree. I don't know how he got to Osceola County, but my God, he's absolutely horrendous. Don Fisher's the worst county manager ever. It's terrible. I can't stand it. So anyways, when are we going to get rid of this possum? You have to change the county commission so that they vote him out. Yep. This guy's horrendous. If he had any scruples, he would have quit in shame. Too bad we don't live in like 16th century Japan where you stick a sword in your gut when you're as bad as he is.
You know, he did try to go to the airport, but they didn't want him either. They're saying that they're going to build 4 parking garages on this property. They're going to put a hotel. They're going to put apartments, restaurants, the whole deal. is Heritage Park needing all that? I don't know. What is coming to Heritage Park? The biggest event that they have at Heritage Park is the Meekum auctions. Besides that, they have the Orlando Magic's D-League team playing there. They really don't have anything going on there that big. Country Thunder packed up and went to Tampa. They're out.
Yeah.
So
Well, I don't know that they're making money too. I don't know that they're making money off of the Orlando Magic deal. So if they're not making money off the Orlando Magic deal, Meekum's the biggest guy in town. That's the reason that they're surviving. They screw everything up. This county is screwing everything up. There's no leadership. And I was thinking about Jeff Sessions. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Jeff Sessions, the possum here. I gotta find a little picture of Jeff Sessions, the possum. I mean, how long are we going to allow them to destroy everything? I mean, they make everything bad. They fail with everything, and it's just sick. It's just sick.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens there, John. I just can't imagine a hotel in that area. When we do have existing hotels in that area that have failed, they're not doing very well. We have the Swingers Resort right nearby. And, yeah. Which it blows my mind. It's right there. Everyone wants to ignore this thing that's there. It is a disgrace for the county, but yet no one does anything about it. No one cares. Anyway, all right, so moving on. Our final story of the night, John. The St. Cloud residents meet about zoning. And what they're talking about is the new plan for the downtown area. Here is a picture from the crowded room, John, that they packed these people in. This is the lobby at City Hall, and the city staff decided this would be a good place to put this. Concerns were raised after rezoning letters were sent to St. Cloud residents along Lakeshore Boulevard and the nearby state streets in October. City planners are proposing to change the zoning of current single-family residents in certain locations to allow for limited commercial and multifamily zoning. Now, this was written by the Osceola News-Gazette, and I want to just call this out. There's nothing in there that says it's limited commercial. This was something that the city manager said at a city council meeting, was that they might put restrictions for limited commercial on these. But no, they are planning to zone all of Lakeshore and all of Florida Avenue as commercial. But anyway, let me move on from there. In response to residents' concerns, city planning staff conducted 2 community open house meetings last week to further explain the staff's intentions and the legal requirement to periodically update municipal planning documents. The open house format meetings were intended to enable groups of residents to view planning displays and then engage with members of the planning staff present for individual questions. A comprehensive information packet was provided to each attendee upon registration, and public comment forms were provided and available throughout the meeting area. At the Tuesday, December 3rd meeting at City Hall, over 100 residents assembled within the first 15 minutes of the 2-hour open house. Numerous residents appeared to quickly become frustrated with the meeting format. The space was too small for the number of people in attendance, while fixed seating and planters within the space were obstacles in viewing the display materials and engaging with city planners. The proposed zoning changes will be presented to the city's planning commission on January 21st of 2025 and subsequently to the city council on February 20th of 2025. City planners will have a presence at the St. Cloud Monthly Market during the process. That is to try and push this on the residents and convince them that this is a good thing. And then it gives a website for more information on this planning process. It was a stupid move, a very stupid move for them to hold this in that lobby area at City Hall. It is very small, John. It's not a big space. The second meeting they had it at Cornerstone Family Church, which is the church of former St. Cloud Mayor Nathan Blackwell. For whatever reason, they decided that would be a good idea to hold it there. I'm sure that there was more space there at Cornerstone, But yeah, I can tell you this: nobody that lives in the grid is okay with this plan. At least nobody that I know is okay with this plan. And I will challenge, I'll put this challenge out right now to Mayor Chris Robertson. Crinkle this plan up and throw it in the trash. That's the challenge. Crinkle it up, throw it in the trash. That's what the people want. The people don't want Florida Avenue developed as commercial. They don't want Lakeshore developed as commercial. Do the will of the people. And we'll see if he does.
I mean, clearly they don't want it. Like the developers and listen. Osceola County is like Africa, right? I know people in St. Cloud are going to are hating to hear this, but Osceola County is like Africa. It's full of potential, right? Like there's minerals in the ground, there's gold, there's diamonds, there's rare earth materials, there's all kinds of stuff. And the problem is that you, just like in Africa, you have the cheapest, dirtiest, soulless warlords, wannabe warlords, okay, in charge. And that's, like this, they have no integrity, no honesty, no transparency. That's who's in charge of Osceola County. And so you're never going to be protected as a citizen in Africa, right? You're always going to be just in poverty and misery because your leaders are a bunch of jerk-offs. And I hate to say it that way, but that's just the case. If you've never met Brandon Arrington, that's the best way to describe him. If you've never met Ricky Booth, that's the best way to describe him. And I just, I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame. They're always going to do this. So you know what? There's a lot of land, and you could come up with a plan that keeps things the way that they are, and is moving around the county and provides like a diverse. Instead, what they're trying to do is maximize every square inch at the displeasure of the resident and at the pleasure of the people who are in charge, who are themselves. They make the money. They own the land. They make the money. They do the deals. It's all from, they benefit like a very few group of people. This is an oligarchy. That's why I came up with the name Osceola Oligarchy, because that's what they are. They control everything. And that's how they got like in the favor of this. That's why DeSantis will come. Why would DeSantis come here and take a picture of an intellectually defunct man like Ricky Booth? Why would he? Right? Why would you come and take a picture with Ricky Booth? I think like 5 times DeSantis's wife had to take a towelette to wipe the slobber off of Ricky's face. Okay? Why would she do that? Why would anybody be with somebody where you got to take your handkerchief and you got to wipe the slobber off of their cheeks? Well, this is why, because they own the land. Their money, they're making money. It's super corrupt. They buy the favor, and then, when they control everything. And that's what they said when I was in Tallahassee and I was running for office. I would, constantly being told, well, they're royalty there. So, as long as they're royalty and whatever. Well, we don't have royalty in the United States, and it's only a matter of time until they get beheaded for it. Yeah. So, and I say that figuratively, not literally. So calm down. Okay. Nobody's going to cut slobbering Ricky's head off. So it just is what it is. So I'm not surprised at the development of this either. I'm not surprised that they're going to ruin downtown. I mean, those houses, listen, those people, the people have lived there for a long time. In 10, 15, 20 years, you would be passing that on to your kids, and they would be millionaires over it if they left it alone and they developed parts of the county where there is land available, right? Instead, they're redeveloping you out because they're going to buy up all your houses before it gets turned into commercial properties. That's what they're doing. Yeah. So they're going to come in. They're going to force you out. They're going to buy what they can afford to grab, right? All the prime areas. Then they're going to redevelop it. Then they're going to sell it at a gross, disgusting margin. Okay. And that's not normal. I'm a capitalist 100%. The reason that that's gross is because they take advantage of you to do it instead of being honest about it. They're not doing proper business. They're taking advantage of you. And these are people without talent, like, Brandon Arrington, a failed actor. Okay. And these are not the type of people that are going to take care of the community, and anybody who votes for them is just a total moron. I don't care how you feel about it. If you vote for Ricky Booth, you're a moron. If you vote for Brandon Arrington, you're a moron. Congratulate yourself, look in the mirror, and congratulate yourself for it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this.
You're corrupt, or you're corrupt. It's one of those three. It's one of those three things, so.
We'll see what happens with this. I can tell you, I know that nobody on Lakeshore wants this.
Well, they better fight. They better fight to keep their
towns.
towns.
On Florida Avenue don't want this. And, you're just going to really muck up the grid by doing this. So I hope that Mayor Robertson has it in him to put this down, and some of the other council members put this down and don't let this happen. But I'm not going to hold my breath. Anyway, one story that we didn't cover, John, that we probably would have covered on a prior Florida show because it did happen. It was one of the big stories that happened, was the arrest of Captain Stitch, the operator of the Toho riverboat, for his impropriety. He somehow got custodianship of a 17-year-old girl and decided that it was going to be a good idea after he got that custodianship to allegedly, yep, I was coming with that, allegedly use her for a menage a trois with his fiance. St. Cloud police picked him up. Him and his fiance, from what I understand, are still in jail. The other investors that have invested in the Pearl, which is the name of the riverboat, are thinking about trying to open it up again and operate it again with somebody else. So they're gonna.
Why? So that they can have their drag shows on it? Here's the thing. I would never go on that boat. I don't care who owns it, okay? The fact that they have drag shows on it, I would not want to sit anywhere. I would not want to touch anything. I would not want to have anything to do with it. Gross. I hope it sinks. You have a guy, okay, so allegedly what he did was take this girl in from an abusive situation. This is just from my understanding. He takes a girl in, allegedly, again, let me say it again, allegedly takes a girl from an abusive situation, brings her home, immediately starts having sex with her and his wife together. The report is ugly. The accusations are absolutely horrendous. If the guy is innocent, my God, I feel terrible for him because he won't be able to lift his head up in this county anywhere ever again. But at the same time, he is friends with the people who are gross in this town. And when you're friends with people who are gross, this is what I say about the county, right? You can't be friends with these people. You can't be friends with someone like Fred Hawkins and expect for them to be honest or transparent. Because when he was here and he was elected, he was gross, right? You can't expect for somebody that's friends with Ricky Booth to be straight and narrow all the time. Why? Or let's say this, better yet, you can't expect somebody who's friends with Ricky Booth to be an intelligent person. Why? Because he's so dumb that anybody intelligent wouldn't be able to tolerate him. You can't be friends with someone who's like Brandon Arrington if you yourself are not a slime ball. It's just impossible. So this guy, Captain Stitch, I don't know. There was somebody who reached out to me. They were heartbroken. They went on there. They had a great time. They had an event on the boat and so on, and it was all good. But here's the thing, man. We can no longer accept this ugliness in our world. If you accept this ugliness, if you support the guy, if you do this, when you see people doing things that are ugly and you accept it, well, I mean, you get this world that we're in right now. And we have the ugliest people in Osceola County are the people leading the county. Think about that. So why is there so much human trafficking and drugs and poverty and ugliness in Osceola County? Because it reflects the leadership that Osceola has. That's why it's so ugly. Osceola is so ugly because of the people who lead it. Why is Orlando, Orange County, like Sodom and Gomorrah today? It reflects the leadership that they have, with the exception of a couple people. But here in Osceola County, there are no exceptions. I mean, we just saw the voting down of a chaplain program. DeSantis came to Osceola County, announced the chaplain program here. The superintendent came and said, "Oh, I love chaplains. I think chaplains are the greatest thing ever. It's the best thing ever." And then the school board votes against it, including the one conservative that is there, right? That essentially replaced me as the conservative on the board. Not for my seat, but nonetheless, I mean, there's no conservative on the board any longer. It's sad. It's terrible. And I have zero hope for the Osceola County School District or for any of the governmental municipalities. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe Chris Robertson, maybe he does come through on your challenge, right? Maybe one day the county commission turns into the men or turn into men, and they actually act like men for once in their lives, right? Instead of building gay statues in the shape of a fish out there, right? Maybe they'll act like men. I don't know. I don't think I'll never agree with it. I'll never, I can never speculate it because they just don't have the honor. They don't have the manhood to do it. And certainly those are not ladies that are on that county commission either.
Well, you got to think about it, John. You have a point. When we have a swingers resort right on 192, it is right in the center of 192. It's right there, and no one seems to care. We have this boat captain, and everyone was believing him at first. You know, they found it very hard to believe, and I understand because many residents have taken that cruise. You know, the city was fully behind this guy. They were making exceptions for him. He was tying his riverboat up to the natural landscaping at the lakefront. People were really behind him. But after the arrest report leaked out and knowing that the fiance basically corroborated the victim's story, you know, not looking good, John, not looking good. And yes, I hope that Mayor Robertson does take my challenge seriously, and he does crinkle that up and throw it in the trash. But I have a feeling that he wouldn't accept my challenge just because it came from me. But we'll see. We'll see, John. We'll see. Anyway, we're out of time, John.
Yeah, absolutely. We're out of time. I really, really appreciate you guys watching and staying with us today. I know that a lot of people wanted us to do the show on the War of the Elephants or the war against elephant versus rhinos. We're coming. It'll either be tomorrow night or probably Saturday. It'll probably be on Saturday. We got some other interviews and some information. We have an exclusive interview. We have an exclusive interview with Evan Power. Okay, an exclusive interview with Evan Power. So please stay tuned for that. It's probably going to be on Saturday. Okay, we'll get it for you then.
See. We're
and we're going to keep
trying to
about it.
get all these guests lined up so that they can participate and tell their side of the story here as far as this war goes. And it's been a little bit difficult, but we're bringing it together. It will be here for you. It is coming. It's coming either Saturday, maybe Sunday, the latest. We'll see.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, it is coming.
Yeah, well, thank you for being with us and joining us. God bless you. We love you. We appreciate your support. Thank you for everyone who left all the comments and who was interacting with us. Listen, stay with us for Saturday, that show on Saturday. We'll see you next week. On behalf of me, former school board member John Arguello, my great friend over here, Citizen Tom Lord, we'll see you next week, or we'll see you Saturday.
Yep, Season 3 is coming of Unsanctioned America and Season 2 of Unsanctioned Florida.
Stay tuned.